Business Hall of Fame laureate, Mr. David Spahn.
We were all a little concerned about our presentations this evening, and so far, we've added 1,000. Jim, you were incredible. Very good. I too received a call from Judy Wolf. I was out in Arizona and thought it had something to do with Steeple Square. When I said I wasn't going to be back, she said, well, wait a minute, I need to tell you something. And as with you and Jeff, wow, I'm kidding, this is pretty incredible. So, in any event, good evening, everyone, and thank you for attending this evening's program and supporting junior achievement. I was certainly surprised and humbled to learn that I had been inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I'm certainly very appreciative. I would also like to congratulate my fellow inductees, Jim and Jeff. I can't imagine being in better company. An award like this certainly warrants some reflection. I'm fortunate to have come from a strong and loving family. Somehow, Mom and Dad worked hard outside the home. Dad retired from Deere after 40 years, and Mom from William C. Brown after almost 30 years. And somehow they still managed to maintain a strong household, keep the 5 of us reasonably under control, and pointed in the right direction. And it's to this day, and it's because of their influence, the 5 of us have phone calls every 30 days or so to get caught up on everything. And of course, I was very fortunate to have Kathy Ryan as a partner for 33 years, and Jan Malone for 7 years. Last week, I looked up the current value of 35 cents an hour in 1961 to today. It's $3.38. So on the surface, it would seem from a monetary perspective, Stanford's came out pretty good. But pay isn't the entire package, as we all know. There are fringe benefits that are associated with it. And if you recall in the video, there's a picture of me sitting on the Palomino. And if I was naming it as a 10 or 11-year-old, it would have been Trigger or Mr. Ed. But it was named by adults, and its name was Eyeball. I rode that horse, weather permitting, virtually every day for 5 years, and had a 640-acre farm as our playground for trail rides. So in the end, I more than came out ahead in that deal with the Stanford family. After the farm, I spent 7 years at the Standard Oil Station down in Dodge and Bluff, which is no longer there, and 2 of those summers I also worked for Dubuque Insulation and Siding Company, doing roofing, ironically enough. Although I did have a roof, Jim, that I don't think you would have been too happy with it. Instead of being this linear perfectly, it was like waves of an ocean. It was the first one another college student and I were allowed to do. The good news was it didn't leak. The bad news was they had offered a significant discount for the customer not to require it being torn off. Then in 1971, Kathy and I, as you saw in the video, went off to Chicago and Toledo, Ohio with the National Credit Union Administration. And we're happy to come back to Dubuque and join First National Bank, which has had an incredible group of people, and then finally had an opportunity to move to the state. So to me, this award is an outcome resulting from the efforts of many people that I've encountered in my life. Certainly I've had to rely on the love and support of family and friends, and for that I'm forever grateful. My children have made me proud, and my grandchildren bring tremendous joy to my life. But I have also had the good fortune to work with many people that were very generous with their time and their talents. I can honestly say I never had a job that I didn't enjoy going to every day, primarily because of the people that I worked with. It didn't matter how dirty, sweaty, or difficult the job might have been, whether it was grinding a wagon load of corn, replacing brakes on a car, shingling a roof, closing the books on the bank, or negotiating with a customer. Every job was important and had value. You know, we all have mastered one or more skill sets throughout our lives, and as a result, are technically proficient in more than one area or another. might be in manufacturing, financial technology, restaurant, or any one of the many other occupational disciplines that are out there. But regardless of how much we know in our particular field, I hope we all agree that whatever we achieve is much more easily achieved with the help of others. There isn't anything much more unpleasant than working with someone that thinks they know it all. A situation which reminds me of a comment that I heard nearly 40 years ago at a seminar. And the instructor said, if when you're with a group of people, you think you're the smartest person in the room, the sooner you realize you're not, the better off you're going to be. He just said, as we've heard from so many, and what works so well is try to be the best listener you can, observe what's going on around you, and absorb as much of that as you can. And your career path will be much easier. There are many traits associated with being an effective leader: action-oriented, risk-taker, integrity, and others. And among those, I believe, should be, don't take yourself too seriously. In other words, be comfortable laughing at yourself. So here's my example. My first day at the big stamping, mid-morning, I leave the office, walk through the plant, go about 20 paces and put both feet in 4 inches of concrete. And of course, it was witnessed by several people. And at this point, at the stamp, they'd only heard there was a new hire replacing somebody who had been there 30 plus years. So they were going from the familiar to the very, very unfamiliar. And for those that witnessed the plunge, they were very unsure how to react to the stranger's misstep, although I did see some eyes roll. The minute I looked at them and smiled, and then laughed, the ice was broken. As it turned out, it was a very fortunate occurrence. It was a running joke for the next few years, even to the point of a loudspeaker announcement: Dave, there's fresh concrete in front of press 99, in case you have the urge. My point is, it's the ability to relate to others that at the very least improves your effectiveness. The ice had been broken and conversations were easily initiated from then on. I believe that easygoing quality brings comfort and approachability to the workplace. Finally, I want to reflect a bit on community service. I believe it's in everyone's best interest to serve on a committee or a board of a community organization. It might be the bank, might be your church, might be a social club, whatever it would happen to be. There are potentially so many benefits that can accrue to each and every one of us for doing that. The first thing it does is take you out of your comfort zone. Oftentimes you're in an environment where you're dealing with problems you don't have to deal with in your day-to-day activities. Additionally, you meet men and women that you may never have met otherwise. You hear perspectives that you may have never ever considered. And in general, you improve your effectiveness in dealing with your own daily issues. Meanwhile, you're adding value to whatever organization that you have the opportunity to serve. It's no less than a win-win situation. So to conclude, again, I want to thank JA for this award, emphasize how much I appreciate everyone that has assisted me in my life's journey so far, and remind everyone that none of us know how many pieces of our life's puzzle remain. So I encourage you to be thankful for every